about control earlier, in
Right.
control of a vehicle. I want to get you to define that for the audience a little more.
Right.
Like if I'm sitting in a parking lot, for instance, am I subject to get a DUI if I've been drinking sitting in a parking lot?
You are. The issue is actual physical control. You don't have to be driving that vehicle. That's the obvious way that everybody thinks about, but we have a lot of scenarios where people have been to a party, they've been out to a bar, restaurant, had a lot of drinks, sitting in the car, maybe almost sleep it off. Well, the issue is, where are those keys at? Are those keys on you? Are they in the ignition? People, especially this time of year, you're going to turn that car on and run the heater.
Right.
That means you can just drive off. You got the ability and you're in physical control of the vehicle. Now, what I tell people, if they're going to do something like that, and this is crazy, but this is Alabama State has ruled on this issue, that if you take the keys out of the car, place on the front tire, or get back in and lock that door, maybe lean the chair back and go to sleep, you have demonstrated no physical control because you don't have the immediate ability to drive off in that vehicle. So that's one way.
Right.
But people often get in the car, turn the radio on, the keys are in their pocket, in the ignition. Many cases in Alabama have ruled that that is physical control of that vehicle.
Wow.
So the keys are kind of a determining factor.
Yes.
So
and
let
where
me
they are.
so let me ask you this. Okay, so you're right. It's cold.
Yeah.
What if I turn the heater on and I get in the passenger seat and sleep it off?
Well, I've never seen that scenario, and I could think that could be argued that your
Okay.
intent was not to drive the vehicle.
Okay.
The issue is to convince a prosecutor that you had no intent to drive off in that vehicle.
Okay.
And often, the prosecutor's job is to work for the state,
Yeah.
work for the police, and to prosecute the cases that were brought before.
Yes.
And so if, in that case, if it's an indictment or if it's brought before a grand jury, then they're going to look at all the relevant facts. That would be a fact.
Okay.
We had a case where a guy was over, talking about the Brookwood Mall earlier today. He was in the Brookwood Mall, come out of a party, and he literally just went to sleep, and the police woke him up. Why are you here? Why is your car the only one in this parking lot? And he said, hey, I've had a bunch to drink. I didn't want to drive my car. Had the keys. They locked him up for DUI.
Yeah. You talked about deferment a little while
Yeah.
ago. I want you to touch on that, but also leading up to deferment. Will you just kind of walk us through the process? What happens? You're leaving a party. You get pulled over by the police.
Right.
You've been drinking. Walk us through the process. What happens as you go through that?
The first
arrest?
thing, the officer has to have a reason, some probable cause. They don't just randomly pull cars over.
Right.
They don't randomly just walk up and knock on windows. A lot of times it could be a citizen call, say, hey, there's a car going up down the road swerving. An anonymous call, somebody calls in. The officer may have seen you, but there's a reason that you get stopped. And people often will say, well, I don't know why they stopped me. They were picking on me. There's usually a reason they stop you.
Right.
And it's usually legitimate. And we'll get that when we get the video and look at that, because my clients will tell me a lot of things, but sometimes they don't remember what happened.
Right.
I mean, sometimes, there was an issue. But once they're arrested, at that point in time, they're able to get a bond, but they also have to, people don't realize this, they have to be able to leave that station legally not impaired. So they will give them a breathalyzer, it's not counting against them, to get out of jail.
Okay.
And I've had people that were so high,
Wow.
their level was so high, it may have taken well over 24 hours before they left that jail.
Wow.
And so it's, we'll call down, they're trying to get people out, and they're like, they still can't leave. They're still well over the limit.
Wow.
For liability reasons, the police department cannot allow them to leave. But once they leave, they then give them a court date, a date to come back to court to adjudicate and resolve the issue. And that is when you need to hire an attorney, because you only got 10 days. 10 days is a critical issue if you want to try to save your driver's license.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
So
pause
that's
you.
a big issue.
I'm gonna pause you right there because I still want you to talk more
Yeah.
about the deferment. Well, our topic tonight is DUIs. Just before the break, Rob, you were telling us about a very critical time frame if you are charged with a DUI. Talk about that 10-day window.
The biggest mistake people make is not getting a lawyer involved early, like right away. I tell people, as soon as you get out of that jail and they let you get out of there and go home, call a lawyer, call any lawyer. Call your local lawyer you've dealt with, get some advice on what you need to do. There's two issues. You got the administrative suspension, administrative action to stop and take your driver's license, and then you got the court system that deals with the DUI. They're two separate fights. And you got 10 days, only 10 days from the date of that you're actually charged to file to stay to stop the suspension. and a lawyer will know what to do and how to do that. And there's several things we can do, either interlocks, a lot of things. And you were asking about the deferment.
Yes.
Deferment is usually offered for people that have not had a prior DUI,
Okay.
no prior issues, and it's a program that allows you to do classes. You do community resource officer, defensive driving. You may have to have an interlock, but it's a program that allows you to get that DUI dismissed and off your record. So that first time DUI becomes no DUI.
Right.
It becomes a dismissal. And then at that point you can talk about expunging it after you get it dismissed.
But again, it's going to cost you.
There's everybody in the process is collecting money.
Right.
The people that put the interlock on the car, the classes, there's money. There's a money grab everywhere on a DUI. And when I said it's about $10,000, it's about $10,000. And people are like, oh, well, you know, this guy did it for $1,500 or whatever. Listen, it's going to cost you about 10 grand by the time you're done with everything.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff there.
And the deferment, it doesn't impact your insurance like it would if you had a DUI.
Yeah, that's
on
correct,
your
because you're
insurance.
not
So-
convicted. There
so
was
that's
never
one
a
place you would
conviction.
save money.
Yeah, the defer is just that. They defer it to let you do things. Once you complete and do what you've agreed to do, the judge will then honor that agreement to dismiss that case.
Gotcha.
Very
It's all good to
important.
know. Yes, thank you for that.